Hey everyone, welcome to another update for the Hudson New England Railroad. So for this update, there has been some changes to the layout, some expansion, but again, there's not much that's really been done in a few months. I've been very busy with TOTBModelWeathering model weathering and working all sorts of different kind of jobs. I am planning on taking the layout down. This is going to be the final update for this railroad in this location, and I say this location with pride because I'm officially moving out in December, and I'll be moving into a 2-bedroom, and the spare bedroom will have the full layout around the wall, hopefully a bi-level layout that will feature almost the entire subdivision of this railroad that runs from Hudson, New York all the way to Pittsfield, Massachusetts, with all the little towns. I'm hoping to have maybe Helix and a midway yard and 2 end yards. So we will see what happens, but that won't take place till December, and I'm praying that I get the bench work hopefully done by February, and hopefully have at least the main line and some of the top level completed track work wise by March and April. So the goal is to have one train going around a loop on the top level by the end of February, early March. And for that, I am going to start the update here. Again, we're going to start in Pine Valley, New York, and end up here in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I hope you guys enjoy. So we're going to start the tour here in Pine Valley, New York. Now, the railroad actually starts in Hudson, New York, just further out west. Unfortunately, I have enough room to actually have a terminal yard and a big engine facility and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to do Pine Valley, New York, which is a fictional town in New York, right on the border before it reaches Vermont. And decided to start it here. That's where I could have the station stop, as you can see here by that station. And that's an old station my father tried to kit bash, and I decided to keep it, and maybe I'll finish it up later on. And over here for the industries that we have here, this is Sanding Tower. So there's a sanding transload. You can see the car underneath here. The main line is behind it, and it comes along and meets at the road over here, and it goes along down this way into Pine Valley itself. One of the few things I may have readjusted was I switched between the sand tower. I switched it from one side to the other. Added the road down here and readjusted some of the trees. That's really about it for the Pine Valley section of the railroad and this layout. So moving further east, and it's still in Pine Valley, New York. And here is I decided to switch the industries around. I originally had the bakery in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and I really wanted to have a scrap yard. So I decided to move the bakery over here on this track right here, and have the scrap yard and the transload on the opposite side in Pittsfield, and I combined Appliance Express into one big industry in Pittsfield instead of having separate here. Now the new layout, that may change, I'm not sure yet, depends on the new track plan and what I can fit. So just going through over here, actually we continue from there, east this way, and we have 2 tracks for storage. Again, we have a lot of high cube cars here. That's for Appliance Express. These cars along here, these are some of the cars that I have been working on for my weathering of my own equipment, not anybody else's stuff here. This is all my stuff here. Runaround track, and the main line comes through this way. And then we'll continue on this way here. Further east comes over the ballast gravel road, and along this way here there's a maintenance of way shed. Used to be an old freight depot. There's actually a freight depot that was made by my father, scratch built. It's a representation of the freight depot that was in Congress, New York, on the Conroe River line. It was on its curve, just north of the crossing, street crossing. They moved it, and now it looks like an old station. It has bathrooms, all that stuff. The the top of the building, you're actually able to go on top and view from above the tracks and the town itself. There's a big parking lot. There's a actual park, so you can hang out when you have festivals, all that stuff. You can still rail fan from safe distance. It's right next to the tracks, maybe almost as close as this. It's I don't know, maybe 50 feet away from the main line. So it's almost representation, but I decided to make this the maintenance and way depot. I will eventually fix it up for the new layout. Okay, again, going further east, we are in the transition section, which represent right here the curve into Bennington, Vermont. But first, here's the engine shed. I think in my last update, I think I had this building. I repainted it. It's an old Bachman shed that I repainted and weathered a little bit. Added some detail to it. There's a little parking lot here, some maintenance away vehicles, some automobiles, some old containers which I've had, which became storage units. That's an old, I think, lifelike model power building right here. I will make that an office, and I will repaint it and weather it as well. And also we have here some F units in the shed along with the caboose. My railroad does run with a caboose on its trains, main lines and locals. The F units I am going to be, these actually were painted by my father. He didn't want them anymore, but I'm going to strip the paint and repaint them. They're dummy units. They're Athearn dummy units, and I'm going to repaint them and use them as mainline power. Since it is a short line based in the 90s, maybe they still had F units running around, so I'll still use those as some extra horsepower for pretend, of course. Here we are in the little section of Bennington, Vermont. I will like to, in the next layout, expand it, have a lot more buildings. I have the street running section here. Here's the cross, you call it the crossing gate that goes this way. So technically this building's lined here and here in each end. It's almost street running, but it has ballast in the middle. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this because I really want to put in a siding at an actual train station, since I do run commuter trains into Bennington, Vermont. So this may change up on the next layout, but I still have some of the building fronts I started working on. They're not together because I don't need to put them together at this moment. Just to give you an idea of what the city scene would look like and will look like in the future. These are some cars that I just purchased off of Facebook. They're going to be upgraded. A lot of them with metal wheels and new couplers. But I figured I'd put them over there to show you some new stuff that I received and I purchased. Not much has changed here in the lift out section. Pretty much stayed the same. It's going to stay like that because I'm probably not going to use it. Maybe I'll add it somewhere else, but not as the lift out section, but maybe somewhere else on the layout. Okay, proceeding into Pittsfield, Massachusetts. We are technically still in northern Massachusetts in this little scene here. Kind of have to combine the two. Again, a very small layout. In the future layout, I am planning on adding a few more towns in between, since there are a few towns between Bennington and Pittsfield, Massachusetts. But first here, we have the Dunkin' Pickle Factory building, an old building that I put together. I repainted the rooftop. I'm going to start weathering the brick and maybe start repainting it, make it a little less toyish looking. I may use it on the future layout. I'm not sure just yet. Old shed here. It was an old CSX shed that I just painted. Blocked all the logo and everything. It's just a shed that's just there. May use it on the newer layout. And then I decided over here to add the pellets, plastic pellet transload, receive cylinder hoppers and covered hoppers. I think on the new layout I'm just going to have it as covered hoppers. I'm not sure just yet. But added some of the foam board to represent the roads. Sort of the crossings, the wooden crossings. If you can tell there, old railroad ties. This is an old building that my father, again, scratch built. Needs some work. I painted the roof and the trimming black. Trying to fix it as much as I can to where I can use it on the new layout. And over here, some trailers just for the warehouse itself. So big change in Pittsfield, Massachusetts since the last time I did an update for the layout, and what few of them is, again, right here I added the scrap yard. So we have hoppers and gondolas for the scrap. Added a transload over here, just miscellaneous transload to hold a variety of different cargo. So here maybe wheat or sand, and here we have lumber being taken out. These are old. They're just fillers to hold in the printer in place. I bought a new printer, and these are just fillers. I spray painted them gray, and I'm probably try to detail them or make them look like transformers. So this to show this, it could be high and wide loads that could come in, and oversized loads that could come into here to the transload. Here I added a storage track. Never got a chance to connect it. I am on the process of getting a switch, but most likely Pittsfield this will be ripped out and redone to where I have more tracks, more storage space, and all that. This is Appliance Express, and it holds 3 high cubes, and it has 2 coil steel cars. So the whole plant is in one instead of it being separated. So that's this section of Pittsfield, Massachusetts. So here are a few backdrops that I made. Took old plastic containers that you get with certain supplies. Maybe if you buy something that's in plastic. So I took it out and placed it behind the windows here at a foam board. So these became some backdrops, extra ones. They're not really. They're just temporary for now. I'll probably do it for the next layout, or actually build something out of them. There's just to give you just some perspective of, buildings and stuff like that. The spur I redone here, moved it outwards so that way it could fit another storage track here. Again, it's not connected, it won't be connected. This is the runaround storage track for the Hudson New England. This train right here is on the Hudson New England main line. This is the Conrail interchange along with this track here. I received this Conrail engine, again another Athearn dummy that my father made. I put a little dull coat on it. I'm going to weather it just a little bit. But it's just, this represents the Conrail main line here, well, the interchange track. Just added a few locomotives here, and added some foam board, and that represents the station platform for Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And over back here, which we'll get to, will be the brewery. So there's some foam boards I made for the brewery, as you can see here. Again, it takes a reefer, and there's another car behind it for paper boxes and stuff like that. There's a tank car and a cylinder hopper for grain. So we have that over there. Maintenance away has not changed. Again, this track goes out, and somewhere in imagination it connects to the main line. But this is the main line for the Hudson New England, and here's the main line or the tracker trites for Conrail. And here are the Conrail Hudson New England small terminal engine facility here. Trains are fueled up here and continue back in the journey to Hoosick, New York. The plan is for the next layout is again to expand this thing, maybe make it 2 feet, an actual through yard. And possibly add a siding just for the station and a bigger engine facility. So again, just represents the train just broke off here on Conrail, and these cars over here will be taken to Hudson New England for it to be used throughout the system, and the tracks on the main line here are going to be taken onto Conrail's track and taken back throughout the Conrail system. So I think that's pretty much it for the update. There's not much else going on, and this just being the last update for this layout. I will probably do a teardown video of the layout, and obviously next year we'll start the new layout. I appreciate everybody coming out and enjoying this update. It was a bittersweet in a way, because this is my first HO layout that I built by myself, including the bench work all the way to the track work, to the wiring, to weathering, and to hook up the DCC and do the lift out section. I learned a lot from this layout, and I'm going to be continuing to learn a lot more on the next layout, and it's going to be a lot of new stuff. I'm planning on building a lot more scenery, since I love doing scenery work. This layout was basically a switching layout, but the new layout will have through freights running through the entire layout. I will have it could be point to point with continuous loops, so if someone wants to come and just watch trains run, they could just come and run the trains on loops on the top and bottom levels. I will have staging. That is a plan, to have some staging. So I will have an end yard in Hoosick, and another yard in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and a midway yard that takes place in Adams. I believe Adams is also in Massachusetts. But Hoosick, New York will be the beginning of the railroad. Planning actually still having commuter runs, tourist line, but the cool part is I'll finally be able to do something I've always dreamed of, was to have pusher district. So it'd be nice to have manned pushers on the back of trains. So that would be a lot of fun to do. So I just want to again thank you everybody for subscribing and liking, commenting, and it's been a lot of fun through this journey. I really appreciate everybody's patience and just their support through this journey. It took this journey with me with this layout, but I really look forward to the next one, and still always love your support, and I wish everybody happy railroading, and keep modeling, and you guys have a great week. Thank you.